Guys, what's going on? It's Joe from Gadgetry Tech, and today we're going to talk about the King B2 from Neat. Now, before we kick things off, this mic was sent to me for review by Neat. They had no demands or requirements. There's nothing I had to sign. They just wanted a fair and unbiased review, and I actually talked to the founders of Neat, which, by the way, are the same founders of Blue. So that legendary mic company that all the streamers and gamers use out there, he started that company. I'll probably put a couple links in the description so you can see what I'm talking about. But long story short, Blue became massive, and the guys, once it got acquired by Logitech, as you know, and they then started Neat because they wanted to produce microphones pure to their vision. This is a music company. The background that these guys have is not from like a gaming and products manufacturing company. They're music guys, and they try to make a high quality product that is affordable for the masses. So one benefit to the acquisition by Turtle Beach bought Neat at post King B, the original one that was yellow, which was yellow because they were trying to tie it into products from Gibson at the time. Gibson owned Neat way back when. So because Turtle Beach stepped in, that helped them give them the economy of scale they're looking for. So as far as production, it brought costs down, and that's why you can get such an incredible quality microphone at the $170 price point. So that's a really brief backstory on Neat. Again, the biggest thing I can say is these are music guys. They're very passionate. They have a specific sound profile in mind that to them and a lot of recording artists and studios like, and that's the kind of product that you get. So without going too far down that rabbit hole, that covers the intro. Now it's time to talk about specs and what you get. Now the King B2 is an XLR microphone. It sells for $170 and it has a cardioid pickup pattern. We're going to get into all the specs shortly, but there's some basics I want to point out. One being that because it's XLR, there's no XLR cable included, which is normal. So if you're looking at a microphone like this, it's simply don't expect to just buy this box and be able to plug and play on your PC and be good to go. You need some things to go with it. So with an XLR microphone, naturally you need an XLR cable. Make sure you get the appropriate length. I'll put a couple links in the description and give you some ballparks of what to look for. And then you need some way to connect that to your PC, if you're connecting it to a PC, of course, which means you need an XLR interface. Now, Focusrite makes some, PreSonus makes some, there's a bunch out there. I'm using the Elgato Wave XLR for this because it's very simple, doesn't take up a lot of desk space, and it sells for, I think, $160. So nice, basic, highly functional XLR interface. And it actually sounds pretty good too. So I'm not doing any processing on this review whatsoever. The only thing I may adjust is gain, so the output of my voice is where it should be for watching it on a medium like YouTube. Now this is a cardioid pickup pattern using a condenser capsule. What that means is cardioid focuses all the pickup towards the front of the mic. There's a lot of noise rejection on the sides and behind it. So if I talk behind it, my voice naturally gets much softer, and you have more of the reverb getting picked up in the room. Now the room I'm in is not treated whatsoever. It's just a carpeted room. This is a temporary studio location until my new home is being done being built. So I'm just making do with what I have right now. But having a mic like this with the cardioid pattern to drop background noise or reject it helps a lot, because if you're not professionally treated, sound treatment does help a lot. But if you don't have the benefit of doing that, having that kind of pickup pattern helps as well. Now you don't get a lot out of the box, which is fine, but you get, to me, what the important parts are. You get the microphone, an integrated pop filter, and the mount. Now this is all pre-installed and ready to go. So as far as a time sync, you literally unbox it and then just mount this to whatever boom you are using. Make sure you get a robust boom, because this thing is heavy. With the mount, it's over 2 pounds. There's not a lot with the shock mount, that is. There are not a lot of booms designed to handle that weight well, so don't buy a $15 or $20 mic boom online and think that's all you need to support this kind of weight. You want something robust. I'm using the Elgato mic arm low profile, the LP. It really pushes it to the limit. This is the heaviest mic I have, and I can tighten the crap out of the knobs and it works fine. But just, again, make sure whatever you use is rated for that weight. So with what you get in the box, like I said, it's just the shock mount and the integrated pop filter. Now this is removable, but I didn't find it colored the sound at all, and you want a pop filter for plosives. That noise that I could do the whole Peter Pickle Piper thing, but this helps. Now you can also help eliminate plosives by not putting your mouth on the microphone and blowing air right into it. You know, if you have it slightly angled or position your mic correctly, you drastically cut back on plosives. This is just your extra layer of security, and I found it did an excellent job. Now, compared to the Blue Spark SL, which does not come with a pop filter, this has better noise rejection with that regard. Now, there's one thing that stood out right away, and that's the capsule size. So this is a 34 millimeter condenser. That is huge. That's one of the largest I think I've seen at many different price points. And it's not to say a larger capsule is always better or worse. This does have great specs, but I just want to preface by saying the specs aren't everything, and what you hear and what your experience is often goes beyond what the specs would indicate, especially if there are multiple products you can choose from that all have good specs. You shouldn't use that as the only reason to pick or not pick a product. So anyway, with the larger condenser, from a physics standpoint, there are pros and cons to this. A larger condenser capsule captures more energy, more voice, if you will, which generates a higher signal voltage. Because it generates a higher signal voltage, you can have technically what's called a quieter microphone or self noise. Self noise is incredibly important, especially when you're starting to invest into an XLR interface like this. What the self noise does in this case, or lack thereof for the King B2, is when you're not speaking, or if you have an acoustic guitar and the gain's turned up, you hear that little hiss or hum on lower quality microphones. This has a noise floor, or a self noise rating of 6 decibels, which is insanely low. That approaches like $500 to $1,000 microphone noise level performance, and in some cases matches or exceeds some of those microphones in that price point. So this is an exceptionally quiet mic, which means you should have very little, if not any, hiss whatsoever. So I'll do a head-to-head with the other microphones to give you an example later, but that's incredibly important. Now, a larger capsule also can add some warmth. So I like the way this microphone's voiced. It's a very smooth, very warm sounding mic. So a voice like mine, I like capturing a little bit of that warmth in the bass for my voice, and a larger capsule does that really well. Now, the downside to a larger capsule is, in theory, a larger capsule will not respond to higher frequencies as quickly. It's the whole, why you have a subwoofer versus a tweeter. When you're outputting sound, woofers can generate more bass, they dig deeper, and a tweeter can move very fast, which is why they handle higher frequencies. The same general principle applies on the input side for microphones. So a smaller capsule should, in theory, always be brighter, more detailed, and just have a higher clarity to it because it can capture transients better, meaning that it follows the waveguide of your voice more accurately. Now, this does an exceptional job, as you can tell. It's not like I'm dulled, I don't sound muted or so restrained that I'm losing a lot of the clarity. That's why I say it's not just, you can't just go by, oh, it's a large capsule, it's not going to be that accurate. You're hearing it now, this is what it sounds like. Now, when I go to another microphone later that has a smaller capsule, it does sound a little bit brighter and sharper, but I lose some of the warmth in my voice, which is what I prefer. So use that information to help you decide what's important for you, and also consider what your voice sounds like. And if you want to complement that or alter it in some way, yes, you can do some stuff in post-production, but ultimately you want to start with a good platform or base to work with. Now it's time for the shock mount test. I'm going to tap the desk and then knock on the desk. I'll tap the stand or the boom and move my way up, of course. So let's see how the pickup is. Now I'm going to do a couple taps on the shock mount itself. The famous bump from underneath. All right, now I want to show you the difference with proximity versus placement of your mouth. So this is about 6 to 8 inches away from my face, and it's angled. So if I look straight on, This is what it sounds like as I project right into the mic. You should get a lot more warmth with this. The only thing to consider is you are more susceptible to plosive. So if you look straight on and you get close to the microphone, that pop filter is going to be necessary. And this does a pretty good job with that. Peter picked peppers. Pickles. Pickles. I don't know. I can't think of a lot of P words right now. But anyway, this is what it sounds like head on. Now, if I go above it, it should be a little bit more warm because it's getting more of the bass from my chest. And then I can get more of a head tone if I get lower because now it's projecting and picking up some of the sound coming out of my nose, etc. So that is a very unscientific way of doing this, but that is what the placement looks like. Now I can get really close and I'll angle it for the proximity effect. So now I'm very close to the mic, but I'm not speaking right at it. Again, it should help with the warmth, very intimate sound, but I'm not necessarily exposing myself to too many plosives or issues. So now I'm going to go on the side and behind the microphone. All right, now I'm talking to you on the side of the microphone. You should hear quite a bit difference in sound quality, maybe more reverb from the room, but there's a lot of noise rejection just from the side alone. Now I'm going to swing my head around to the back of it, and as you can tell, my voice sounds very, very different because of that cardioid pickup pattern. So rotating right around back to the front, back to the side now, and now I'm talking to you in the front of the microphone. All right, so there you have it. The cardioid pattern on this is really nice, and because it rejects so much of that background and side reflections, that's going to help cut back noise if you're a loud keyboard typer or there's different things going on in your room, rejecting fan noise from your computer, etc. So if you're a streamer or podcaster, this is incredibly important. Some of the cheaper microphones out there don't do as good of a job of rejecting background noise. This is all doing it by design from a physical standpoint, not through software, which means your sound quality is much, much greater, and you have to do a lot less work in post-production to get it to sound like this. I'm not doing any post-production throughout this entire review. It's straight up the way the mic sounds. The only thing I'm adjusting is the gain. If I don't have this set too loud or too quiet, I'm just dialing it in to be appropriate for this video. So that is it. That is how much the effects of a high quality mic design, good noise rejection, etc., impacts your sound quality. And it makes it easier to set up and use. So that about wraps up the specs. And as you can tell, when you start looking at apples to apples on the microphone and see what you get, you know, and the cost point, it's absolutely ridiculous. Now, I want to point out one thing that's super important. This is a $170 mic. I already mentioned it comes with the pop filter and the shock mount. We're going to talk about the Elgato Wave 3 in a moment to do my first mic comparison. The Wave 3 is a $150 microphone, but it does not come with a pop filter and it does not come with a shock mount. So yes, the mic is $20 cheaper, and in theory, you can just plug it straight into your computer, but you're losing a lot of the benefits that something like this gives you, let alone the sound quality change. So when you add those accessories, now you're at like, I think $220 or $230 compared to $170, and you still need to buy a boom for that mic. So this isn't a much more expensive investment. The only real change is going to be that you need an XLR cable and an XLR interface. So you're still talking only $100 to $200 more, but you get a lot more versatility with an XLR mic because of the dynamic range benefits, the clarity, and frankly, the lack of noise and the hiss and all that. So plus with an XLR interface, if you ever wanted to upgrade your mic down the road, everything else stays the same, your whole investment, but you just swap the mic out. Or if you love the mic, you can just upgrade your interface down the road if you need more features. So this is a more versatile approach. It's more expensive, but you do get a better product in the end. All right, now I'm talking on the Blue Spark SL. This is my third Spark SL. I actually bought them. I bought the first one at Best Buy, and it generated a ton of static. No idea why, but the hiss was unbearable. So I'll play a 10-second clip or something from that now. How does this sound now? I am talking on the Spark. Now the second one, I swapped that out, obviously. The second one just didn't work. If I flipped the switch for the high pass filter or the 20 decibel pad, it made a pop on my XLR interface or on my recordings, but it never captured my voice. It was also loose. I could twist it and it was like the buttons were loose inside. These are both factory sealed units that I bought new from Best Buy. Not like, you know, a customer lied and retaped it. Everything was sealed inside. So I just had bad luck. Now this one works great. It does have a different noise rating. So this is a 16.4 decibel self noise compared to the 6 decibel on the King B2. So this does naturally generate a little bit more of a hiss. I'll show you in the self noise test later. But they also revised the shock mount because the old one to me was terrible. It resonated a lot. This is a much better shock mount than what it used to be. Needless to say, it's a lighter mic. It's more compact. I think it's brighter and you lose some of the warmth. It's really just up to you and what you're looking for. I don't think this is a bad mic by any means. I just like the King B2 more because I like the warmth. So just compare the sound and see what kind of sound and articulation you like from your microphone. But either way, that's the Spark SL. All right, now I'm talking to you on the Wave 3. Now the Wave 3 to me was a great USB microphone because of the flexibility that Elgato gives you for the streamers and podcaster out there if you're looking for something cheap. Now, this has the $220 worth of accessories added, so it's actually a more expensive setup than the King B2, minus the interface, of course. But it, to me, lacks a lot of the warmth and richness that both the XLR microphones had. It's fairly flat. You lose a lot of the warmth. It just sounds like a more digitized version. Now I have this set at the highest bit rate it supports. I'm not doing any trickery to make it sound worse. It's just the nature of this kind of microphone compared to what you get on the higher quality Blue and Neat products. So either way, that's the Wave 3. Curious what you guys think and how it compares. All right, now I'm talking to you on the Blue Yeti. Obviously a bit less expensive setup. This is a $100 mic, $120. You know, depending on the sale prices, let's just say it's a $100 mic. This is probably the most popular mic you see from streaming and podcasts, at least from the last decade. This is a very old mic. They just keep selling it because it's so popular. Has a multi-capsule array, so there's capsules behind it. You can actually do different pickup patterns in case you have someone on both sides of the mic or you want an omnidirectional pickup. But in cardioid mode, you're losing out some of the richness and depth that you get on the King B2. Because it's a smaller capsule, to me, it's just a lower quality interface. Now, I wanted to show you this one because I think a lot of people may have a mic like this, and I wanted you to see what the difference is when you step up to a higher quality XLR interface, not only from a vocal richness, but your noise floor. This has a much smaller dynamic range, so if you yell into this one, it'll distort. That's just inherent with this type of design, and I hope this helps give you an idea of what to expect for sound quality differences between this and a more expensive XLR setup. All right, now it's time to show you how quiet this microphone is compared to the others. I'm going to be silent, and we're just going to play 10 to 15 seconds of each microphone. I'm going to boost the gain in post-production, so I amplify any hiss or hum it may have. We'll do a gain boost on and off so you can hear what it really sounds like on a pure level, and then boosted to help, I guess, make a more dramatic effect or a reproduction of that noise, just to help you see the difference. Because in certain volumes, cranking up your headphones or stereo, you might hear more of it at that time. So with that being said, we're going to start with the King B2. I'll go to the Blue Spark SL, and then the Wave 3, and then back to the King B2. So there you go. It is an astonishingly quiet mic, and to me that is an incredibly important thing, because if you have viewers or not just viewers, if you have a podcast and you have listeners that are using headphones or a higher end sound system, you can't really fix that hiss that well without impacting the sound quality of your voice in post-production. So you want to, again, have the cleanest, purest signal possible in the beginning, and that's why I love the King B2. It's a great starting point. At the end of the day, I want this review to help kind of educate you more on, I guess, the what and the why on the specs, what you get for out of the box, the voicing differences, of course, and then just help you determine if this is the right one for you. Now, I'll have a link in the description below if you think this is the right one. It's an Amazon affiliate link, won't cost you anything extra. But if you did decide this is the right one and you buy it on Amazon, it just does a small kickback for the channel. This microphone was sent to me for review by Neat. They never once said, hey, talk to us before you release the review or make sure it's something favorable. They just send it. They're excited about the product. They know it speaks for itself. So yeah, anyway, I got it with exchange of providing a fair and unbiased review. So that's why I'm not telling you which one's the best or worst, but this is basically what you get out of the box. So with that being said, I hope you found it helpful. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you want to see more content. We have a lot of audio stuff we're doing. We're finally getting back into the audio side of things again. And so I'm excited to share that with you all. Thank you so much for the support, and I'll see you next time.